miss your blue skies. I miss your clear blue skies and drinking water streams. I miss your mountains. I miss your sunrise and your watercolor scenes. Ooh, Alaska, I'm coming home. I'm coming home.
For 6 years, Jay Hammond and his crew have journeyed across Alaska. Down the trail, they met over 68 unique Alaskans doing unusual, uplifting, often courageous things in a land they trade for no other. As a pilot, commercial fisherman, writer, homesteader, and former governor, Jay's life mirrors the character and spirit of those Alaskans who have carved out a life to their own design. Alascom is proud to have sponsored the Jay Hammond's Alaska series, an enduring tribute to the grandeur of Alaska's land and the warmth of its people. Join us for a celebration of the wonderful people who call Alaska home.
Alaska, I'm coming home.
How about that?
Alaska.
It's been said that one man's trash is another man's treasure. And one man who's proved that old axiom is Michael O'Callahan of Anchorage. Mike is termed what he calls dumpster diving into something of a fine art. Today, through Michael's efforts, literally hundreds who might otherwise have gone hungry have found food for their tables. While some might at first be inclined to write him off as simply an aging flower child who's gone somewhat to seed, let me tell you, Michael O'Callahan has blossomed into much more than that. Rather than now spending time in fruitless protest, he's applied his considerable talents and sensitivity into enhancing the lives of the less fortunate in some most unorthodox ways. Mike, you've made quite a name for yourself regarding a food program of salvaging food from dumpsters such as this that have been discarded by grocery stores and whatever, and providing the needy with those food products. Tell me a little bit about that. How did you get started?
Well, I got started just like you say, diving in dump boxes and finding food that the stores threw away, and got more than I could use. So I started giving away to friends, and you know, that's basically how I got started. We all like food, you know.
Yeah, it's a seemingly a necessity, all right. So you were the needy who initially started dumpster diving, right?
Went to cars and asked them if they would give us the food that they throw in their dump boxes, and they started me in one store. Then it started growing, and it got to be everything in all the stores, and we pick up an average of 200 pounds of discard food from each store a day.
A day, huh?
A day.
I see. Michael, this is your supermarket here, eh?
Got it, yeah.
No. Why were most of these products discarded by the store?
Well, most of the stuff is produce. That particular stuff there was discarded because it's past pull date. They have a pull date when they have to get rid of their product. And, once it gets to that day, then they give it to us.
It is not up to the standards of the company that has it. Is basic read like the produce, you know. I mean, you get a tomato that's soft, and you put it out there on a rack, and people are going to pass it by. Yeah. So you need to take it off of the rack because it's just going to get worse. People aren't going to buy it.
Here's broccoli that's yellowing here that wouldn't be up to the quality standards of the store. These raspberries. The raspberries are crushed here. There's a few of them that are moldy, so it's not going to be the kind of thing that somebody's going to buy. It's going to be the kind of thing that's going to be thrown away, and they throw it to us instead of throwing it to the garbage can.
And then people, just by word of mouth, have learned of its availability, right, and can come and help themselves.
That's right.
Tanny, no...
No, there's a limit.
Oh, how do you do that?
I bet one bag limit.
One bag, I see.
One bag limit, one time a day.
Duffel bag or?
No, no.
But you can
Real
come
fun.
in and select a bag full of groceries, no matter who you are. And,
Right.
I see. No credentials required, no...
No, absolutely no bureaucracy. It's all for free.
Hey, that's refreshing.
Hey, it's real nice to do.
You ever thought about running for governor?
Everybody's hungry, right? We all get hungry at least 3 or 4 times a day. We don't put any criteria on it, but we know that people want to help people. And it's best people helping people rather than institutions helping people. And it's all done with a 0 budget. Cars, I think, donated almost 500,000 pounds of food. Hey, that feeds a lot of people. I think it's great, you know. I like to eat, you know, and I like to have other people that don't necessarily have access to food to have it.
Most of us would be satisfied just to help feed a few hundred people, but not Michael. Around his home, he not only distributes food to those who are needy, but you can also see evidence of his determined efforts to eliminate waste. With one, he hopes to save the meat from the more than 300 moose mortally goosed by the Alaska Railroad every year. You've become involved in other things simply than trying to provide food for the needy. Such things as hoping to at least salvage more of the meat of moose killed by the Alaska Railroad. What prompted that?
Well, right now what they do is that they hit it with a front coupler on the train, which is about 14 inches by 14 inches. And
battering ram. Huh?
Exactly, with an infinite mass behind it and going 50 miles an hour. A lot of the moose literally explode on impact. A friend of mine up north of Talkeetna says he's seen moose legs in trees. So, but if the bump device were on there, there is no question that it would increase salvageability of meat. Right now, 40% of the carcasses can't be salvaged. They're totally wasted. So there is no question that we can dramatically increase the salvageability of the carcasses.
So your intent really is to reduce the what might be called wanton waste, right?
It might be called wanton waste. The most ideal would be no moose killed by the railroad. The bottom line is the increase in salvageability of meat. Even if the same amount of moose are killed, that means people are eating more meat.
Yeah. This is your laboratory, so to speak.
What kind? Yeah, you got it.
Oh, sir.
Yeah.
What's this contrivance here?
Well, this is the device that mounts on a train, and you put foam on it, and you bounce the moose out of the way. That's the...
It's a true moose gooser, huh? Have you tried it out?
Well, we've done some experiment. The experiment we did is with this configuration over here. Took this and mounted it on the back of a pickup and braced it down and backed it into a drum filled 2/3 full of water.
Not a moose yet, though, huh?
No, not a moose. You got one in your backyard? We'll give
No,
it a
but
try.
maybe some of the camera crew or the production staff would volunteer.
All right. Yeah.
Attacking yet another kind of lamentable waste, Michael created a program to make abandoned bicycles available to the public.
So it started out as the white bikes. We got 160 bikes and about $3,000 from the municipality to take these bikes and put them at different stands around town. And
Now, how did you acquire the bikes? You didn't do it in the manner in which you acquired your food stuff.
Yeah, right.
Got you into legal hassles initially, did it? How did you get them?
Well, we first got them from the police station.
Oh, I
they
see.
get all the impound bikes. So kind of we did. The police picked them up for us. So they were free the first time around, and painted them all white and put them all around town. Well, they all went away, you know, which was kind of disheartening. And the idea came from over in Copenhagen in Denmark, where they have a white bike program. And we found out that it didn't work over there either. But the great part about it is that they've taken the idea back, and now they have in the parks, you can have a free bicycle checkout.
That's it.
And they're also doing it in Switzerland, and we've heard about a program in France like that. You know, and that's the great part. And it's kind of fun, you know, and it's real fun to do the actual checkout down there because nice people ride bicycles.
You came up here in roughly 1969 and a little bit before my administration, for example, but I suspect that in your activities here in Alaska, you may have encountered a few bureaucratic impediments, shall we say? Not, of course, undermine them.
Oh, no, simply not.
But tell me about some of those and how you may have either done an end run around or crashed through them.
How I deal with bureaucracies is I liken them to protoplasms. Okay? If you shock it, you know it will quiver and move. You don't know where it'll go or what it'll do, but it will. And so if you shock it enough times from the right direction, it will move away the way you want it to. So
well, good luck, Mike. I'm sure that you'll be shocking many repeated occasion in the future, and I wish you well in that regard.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, you do it kind of like how you do anything. You do it because that's what you want to do. But it's nice to help people. Now you get feedback every once in a while, but most of the time you just do it because it's fun. Dumpster diving is just like Christmas. You go through a dumpster. Oh, you find all kinds of stuff.
All the stores throw away a lot of stuff, and we get a lot of stuff. 500,000 pounds last year.
Hey, I had a real nice experience one time. I was hitchhiking out, going up to Talkeetna. A guy picked me up in a van and we were chit-chatting away and, oh, you do that free food program. I said, yeah. He said, hey, you kept us alive last winter. The basic thing is, and something that I learned up here, is that you help people. And that is the basic bottom line. Hey, I'm no more of a hero than anybody else.
Alaska is still a safe haven for quite a few unorthodox souls. And one can only hope that if they can make as significant a contribution as has Michael O'Callahan, it will ever be so. Most of those who venture into the majestic fjords of Prince William Sound come here briefly to seek respite from that which occupies most of their time and attention, their jobs in the city. This is a story of a couple who've done just the opposite. Susan Ogle and Kelly Weaverling were successful graphic artists working in the Anchorage advertising community who spent all their free time exploring this part of Alaska by kayak. A couple of years ago, they decided to realign their priorities. They moved to the small fishing community of Cordova, population about 2,500, and bought a small business, which allowed them to concentrate their time on their prime passion for paddling. Now, accompanied by their dog Ned, exploration of the beaches and seas of the Sound is more than just a weekend adventure.
Hey, Susan, this looks like a good place to put in right up here.
I'm ready for a break.
You know, most people work full-time and then occasionally trek into the wilderness. You seem to have happily reversed this procedure.
We came here to retire, Jay. This is our retire. That's what
we want this to be the last job we ever have. Basically.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Retire when you're young, and then when you no longer can enjoy it,
then we can go
put
to
your
work.
nose in the rhinestone. Yeah, I kind of like that idea. I wish I'd followed it. What do you find about life in a small town of some 2,000 folk that is attractive to you by contrast to, say, life in a big city?
It's the tranquility. It's very peaceful. And I love walking down the street and saying hi to everyone. Sometimes going to the grocery store takes much longer than you'd expect to go in and get a loaf of bread because you have to find out what's happening.
Hey, Bill, how you doing? Good to see you. How's things?
Real good. And Bill's a lodge owner.
A lodge, you say?
Yeah, it's a little wilderness lodge. We do mostly bird watching and natural history. At one point, we counted 1,500 shorebirds per minute going by. I mean, it's a lot. 20 million shorebirds that go by every street.
and Susan are hardly retired, even though their free lifestyle might suggest that. They earn their bread and butter by running a small, cozy Cordova bookstore. But it's out on the Sound where they feed their souls.
Thanks.
Kelly, what happened? Did you spill the paint, or why the peculiar design?
Well, we painted it to look like the underbelly of a killer whale in the hopes that it would keep sea lions a little further away.
Did it work?
Yeah, I believe it does.
How did they act before?
Well, they kind of come up alongside the kayak, and they're not afraid of anything, you know. And they'd come up next to the boat, open up their mouths, and they've got the red on the inside of their mouths, big canine teeth. Used to scare the dickens out of us.
And they follow you for miles.
Oh, yeah.
Miles doing this.
How about whales themselves? You've encountered them, I'm sure, upon occasion.
Well, one time in particular, Susan and I were making a crossing between Night Island and the mainland. We were about half the way across, and we saw a pod of killer whales coming toward us. And it was obvious that they were coming directly toward us, and we were too far to make it to either shore. So one whale in particular we recognized, a fellow with a big, tall dorsal fin that's bent.
Probably the largest bull in Prince William Sound.
Well, we saw him coming. He came, it was just like right out of a movie, like a submarine sail coming up. Yeah. And then it went down, 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 down. It wasn't very far away, just 20 yards or so. And I said, Susan, I love you.
Kelly, you're not only obviously entranced with trekking throughout the waters of Prince William Sound, but you're interested in resurrecting the art of constructing the old-style Bedarkia.
Well, I'm still just learning. A lot of the knowledge of old construction is lost. The more I get into it, the more I find that these old boat builders were a lot more sophisticated than we'd previously thought. I'm convinced now that the design, the material, and the methods of fastening are far superior to these modern fiberglass kayaks.
In the old days, original explorers remarked that that was probably the best ocean-going craft ever constructed any place. Is that your view, too? Or?
The boat is just as good as the seamen. But they are terrifically seaworthy vessels. I mean, gosh, they used to make these trips once a year from Kodiak all the way down to California and back again.
Susan now uses talents once spent in commercial art while in Anchorage to paint what she really loves here in Prince William Sound. Do you find that life in this area has influenced your art more than perhaps life in other areas?
Yes.
Influenced?
Oh, yes.
So you're drawing a lot of inspiration from the locale.
Very much. I don't paint when I'm out in the Sound, but I do sketch. My sketches are usually little scribble plans for paintings, and so you see something on the beach or you see a background that you like, and then come back and spend the winter developing those ideas into paintings. Here in Cordova, it's kind of fun, especially painting fishes. I can say to put the word out, I need a halibut head. And by evening, the phone rings, I've got you one.
Susan, I'm very impressed with the type of artwork you've done, which deals with fisheries. Is that something newly evolved, or have you always done a lot of fish-oriented artwork?
No, fish are fairly new. Living in a fishing community, fish are fairly new. I've done more people in the past, a lot of portraits, just a lot of paintings with people in them.
What goes through your mind out there?
I'm always listening and watching just to see what you're going to see, and it's always something comes up every minute almost. It's very exciting.
What's for lunch?
This thing here is pretty good. Sometimes they call this watermelon berry. These little flowers here make these little berries that look kind of like miniature watermelons.
Yeah.
Or Solomon seal. It's a type of Solomon seal, I think.
Yeah.
I call it wild cucumber. Try this little morsel there.
Cucumber it is.
Yeah, it tastes just like cucumber.
Strangely, I've never seen animals like deers don't seem to eat these.
Do they know something we don't?
I don't know.
There's a sea otter over there.
Oh, right down there. Yeah. Look like they have a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, they roll around and rub their face like that because they have to keep their fur clean. You know, other sea mammals like seals, they've got blubber to keep them warm, but these guys depend on their fur, so they're continually rubbing their faces and scratching and rolling.
What is it about Alaska that makes it so unique to you folks?
There's room for genuine exploration here.
Sense of discovery.
That's right, genuine discovery. We've been places in the Sound we're absolutely certain that no one's been.
Every time we go out, you come back with 100 more questions. It's just seeing hundreds of thousands of birds in one day passing by. It's wet and it's green. Beautiful, beautiful, clear seas.
I love the place out there. I just looked at the place and said, well, this is it, you know. I'm through traveling now. This is home.
And the people in Alaska are still the best people in the world.
Seeking gold and fur and to be the first to set foot on virgin land are for most of us but dim reflections from the time we've only read about. Yet some of these early seekers stayed on, settled our vast state, and now share a fulfillment of those dreams with us today. Fred Bohovic is such a pioneer. As a young man in 1912, he began his Alaskan saga by searching for glint in his gold pan, which stayed for the freedom and glory found in this verdant cove called Baranof Warm Springs. When Fred recently celebrated his 100th birthday, he shared some of those special memories and mused upon the secrets of a long and lustrous life.
Happy birthday, Fred!
Well, it was quite a party. They had a parade and everything else.
They did, huh?
There's a man who lives in Baranof Bay. His name is Fred, and he's 100 today. There's only one thing that Fred hasn't tried. He's fished. He's mine, but he hasn't died. Hey!
Fred settled in Baranoff Warm Springs in 1922 to start a mink farm. He told me a bit about those early days.
The time when it was very populated was during the Prohibition. Everybody was making moonshine. I watched those bootleggers very closely. And when they hide a barrel or something, I'd sneak over there and steal it on them. I can say that because those people is all dead.
Fred still seems able to outlast the competition. As a mere stripling of 97, he rode 10 miles when his motor quit, and then wanted to challenge others his age to match his endurance. At the even younger age of 72, he attracted Clotilde, who was 27 years his junior. Tell me, how did you and Fred first meet?
I lived in an apartment house, and we had a mutual friend. And while I was down visiting this person who was about to leave town, there was this man, this old man, Fred Bohovic, and she introduced us. And so I said to him rather facetiously, just because Rita's leaving town doesn't mean you shouldn't come back to visit. But I didn't expect to see him again. And lo and behold, he did, and he did, and he did.
He wasn't quite as old as you thought he might be, huh?
Apparently not. No, I guess not.
What's your version now? We've heard your wife's. What's your version, Fred?
Well, the first time I saw her, I spoke to her when she went out, and she ignored me. Then I said, well, I guess I'll try again.
I'd say. I understand that some of your friends and acquaintances raised some objections and suggested that it might not be wise to get married.
Friend said you'd have an invalid in 2 years. So, well, to one person I said, well, if you had happiness for 2 years, would you take it?
Clotilde chose happiness, and those 2 years have stretched to 27. Fred, I know that you've spent a number of years making jewelry. Are you still engaged in that activity?
Necessity made that. You see, there was a lot of people come to Baranoff, and I had some stones on display, and they would say, well, I would buy it, but I don't know what to do with it. So right there gave me an idea. Well, I better make it up. Make it into jewelry. I don't do the drawings like some of them do. I fashion my rings or anything in my head first.
Really?
Overnight. Then the next day it comes to me what I want.
After Fred and Clotilde showed me around Baranoff Warm Springs, he served up some secrets of his long and zestful life, seasoned with a rich and spicy humor. Don't get mad about anything?
No. When you get mad, you go out to the gate and cuss it down.
The gate?
The gate.
Oh, I see.
Then, you know, the gate don't talk back. That's the safest place. You tell that to somebody, you might get a punch in the nose. Don't do anything, don't overdo it. Anything, that's the main thing.
Don't overdo anything.
No. And that goes for eating or sleeping or sex.
Sex. Don't overdo it.
And then they ask me, you know, well, how many times? I said, once in the evening, once at midnight, and once in the morning.
You're talking about eating, of course.
No. Always have a goal to do something ahead of time. You know, not to stop.
So inside, you're just as young as you were when that young sprout that came up here, huh?
The miner's the same.
What would you like to see in the future, in your next 100 years?
I would like to see people get more friendly and peaceful in the world and start talking to each other. That's the main thing.
Fred's prescription for the ailments of the body, mind, and spirit include long hours of sublimely soaking in the sulphurous waters of the warm springs, and never stopping to count the years as they go rolling by. Rather than looking back to goals achieved, Fred dwells on goals ahead. They, say this kid brother of Methuselah, are what makes long life worth living. Marion Beck orbits about, seemingly almost always at full throttle, between the best of several worlds, to be found here in one of the most picturesque places on our planet. Her energies and enthusiasm, fueled by the beauty of her surroundings and a tank full of high-octane talent, Marion may, on almost any given day, be found rocketing about between her horse and llama paddock, to a pen of pampered seal pups, to the sultry porch, to her studio palette, or to the poop deck of one of several vessels upon which she is a licensed skipper. It is here in Halibut Cove that Marion grew up, both on the land and on the sea. This picture postcard part of Alaska is home to only 50 other full-time residents. Here in this quiet little cove, you can find a sense of peace and solitude that hints of days spent at a slower pace. But not so for Marion. She and her husband Dave work hard on their many enterprises. But throughout it all, Marion still keeps a strong sense of time and place.
Here you're somewhere, you know, you're on the top of this globe in these mountains, on this water and these trees, and the wind blows from every direction, almost every day, from one direction or another. Nothing's ever normal.
Including the people, huh?
Yeah, that's for
Especially
sure.
the people.
It's a challenge, a physical challenge. I think that's what I like.
And what better challenge than to take the time to share her cove with tourists who come here to enjoy her restaurant, the Saltery.
In 1983, we bought this houseboat. The idea sort of came on the wind, I'm not sure, you know, to have a restaurant. Neither Dave or I had ever worked in a restaurant, so I don't really know why I thought we should have one. But the building, we had looked at the building for someone else, and, you know, in talking back and forth, I envisioned this vision of this restaurant, and so we decided then and there that we would buy it.
And when the houseboat became the restaurant, Marion tempted visitors from all over the world with her scrumptious seafood selections, all the way from sushi to all sorts of salmon. And surrounding lucky diners in this wondrous setting are figures fashioned by local artist Alex Combs. And what did he do? Present them to the restaurant, or how did you acquire them?
Well, he brought them over more or less for the opening, and then I never really gave them back. I think they're kind of like decoys. People come by and they go, oh, wow, look.
Marion's many talents please the palate and the eye at the Saltery. She molds each plate used in the restaurant and then paints them to express a happy combination of both the sea and herself. What are you up to here today?
Decorating plates for the restaurant.
The creatures you're conjuring up appear like, in some instances, nothing that swims our seven seas. Where do you get your ideas to build upon?
Well, I just start decorating, and however it comes out, that's the way it is. See, here's one, like right here, that you can see.
Close relative, but not a duplicate by a long shot. Eh?
No.
Probably none of them are absolute duplicates, are they?
No, because that would be pretty boring. All these fish have big lips, you know, expressive lips. Everything I do has big lips, even the people. My art usually has a tendency to be on the weird side.
A new addition to the Beck family activities is her art gallery, where she showed me some of her other work. What have we got here, Marion?
Well, this is called The Precipice of 3 cowgirls, a painting of 3 cowgirls.
3 girls posing as cows, or cows posing as girls?
No. Well, cowgirls.
Okay. All of them are wearing red hair. Is there any significance to that?
Well, you know, I hadn't really thought about the fact that they all had red hair. I kind of like red hair.
To bring tourists and local Alaskans over to the Cove, Marion maintains the ferry Danny J. The licensed skippers are young women who share her cove and love of sea. Who's your engineer? Do you do any mechanical work, for example?
I could check this real quick, Lisa. Well, I do a major portion of it, unless it's like heavy work. You know, I'm not going to haul a reduction gear down and put it in or something like that.
But you know what the reduction gear is, and
Well,
where it's
of course
located.
I know what the reduction gear is.
While these activities may keep her on the run, another part of life serves to slow her down, and that's her love of animals. Halibut Cove is filled with the creatures she cares for, including 2 horses, Rosie and foal Sparky, and llamas, which she owns with partner Alex Combs. Most of Marion's animals are shared with everyone who comes to the Cove. But there's one part of her life that's so special, only a few get close.
He had, you know, like swollen facial features. He had a very unusual face that I thought was his permanent look. He had like the swollen nose, these swollen lips, you know, these really buggy eyes.
Okay, come here. Come on, don't look at that guy. Come here.
Although she has raised ill and orphan seal pups for many years, Marion was worried that we might frighten the one currently within her care. It's one of many that came to her in a way she'd not expected.
Well, we had several of the seals that came from the oil spill. From the center, Valdez, and the center from Seward. They were cleaned there and sent here over a period of time. And actually, in the end, we released 15.
But you personally received no compensation for your efforts, or?
No, I didn't want any money. It's like, I would have done it anyway. I couldn't have probably afforded it on a huge scale.
Mm-hmm.
Dave might have shot me or something.
Well, now you lamented the fact that perhaps some of them wouldn't make it in the wild.
They learn certain behavior patterns at early weeks of their time. I think they learn to eat and their catching abilities and where they live. And I think when they were going to learn something really fast was long before they were released. As we released them, they just started meeting each other and kind of nosing up, and there was a time where there was like 9 or more seals in a little circle, and they're all sniffing each other's nose. And
you guys, when you go, you just swim free, swim far. PW, you get to swim free. Yeah, what a boy. There's Marion. She's going to let her babies go. Oh, God, this is such a happy moment. Go, Chunk. Go, Chunk. All right, free. You've got 3 free seals. Isn't this wonderful? Marion's happy.
Marion Beck gives us a sense of sharing. To her seals, she gives a chance at life. To the people who come to this cove, she gives a share of both her home and art. But overshadowing all, she shares a sense of place. On top of this globe, in these mountains, on this water, where here, she says, you really are somewhere. Traditional art forms of our Alaska Native cultures have been making a comeback in the past few years. We've seen emerge a new and most deserved appreciation of the beauty and strength of the Native dances, drumming, song, artwork, and storytelling. Chuna brings a moving message from his people by presenting traditional Yupik cultural values through his many talents. Chuna is an artist, storyteller, and dancer who has performed around the world. His art's a blend of both the ancient and the contemporary.
I'm going to open my book. We're going to read. There's his teacher in front of us, probably from the government. My people, says the song, walking around. We'd rather be picking berries. But guess who? So we keep reading. To really appreciate art, especially traditional art, is for people to see the pieces of work or hear the music. My goal is for us to show to the bigger world or the bigger picture what we've been doing here for the bigger part of the 30 centuries. We've been in this area right here.
At the Arctique Gallery in Anchorage, Tuna showed me some of his oils and masks that express a spiritual closeness and connection with the earth and sea.
It's a loon. So this little object here, this little face, is the representation of the innua of the bird itself, meaning the inner self of everything that exists in our universe.
Tuna took me to his village home in Eek in southwest Alaska, where his family roots go back for generations. For him, it is a special place of peace and refuge that I felt privileged to share. The ties to the land are strong out here, and although Tuna spends his winters at college in California, it is the pull of the land and his family that bring him home each summer.
Eek is forever. That's how I view it. Eek is someplace that this is where my family lives, my true family, my Yupik family. There is something about this area. There is that energy that I feel many times, especially when I think, you know, we've been here a long time. That in itself gives credence, I think, to what we have here, the land base. Being Yupik is, you just let things happen without rushing all the time. And here you feel it very, very quiet, you know. There's no cars rushing past you all the time. You know, that gets to be too much. This is my traditional parka. Arctic squirrels, the pelts, the little squirrels. And then we have the calfskin in here. And we have the wolverine in here, painted with the earth paint on the back here. These are glass beads. The ruff is made of mink and wolverine and wolf. On the back it has spotted sealskin, and it's painted. We paint important furs because that's just the way it is. Even though you don't see them, you still paint them anyways. On the back of the head is a piece of ivory with that symbol, that the same as this ring here. It's that old symbol of the universe. Grandma helped in the design, in telling us what to put where. Well, Grandma now is the oldest, you know, in the village here. And, you know, our elders are like vast reservoirs of knowledge. They have survived many hardships. And by doing so, you know, they demand incredible respect. that has tundra tea in it. We call ayok. For me personally, my grandmother, the kinds of things she was willing to talk to me about, the knowledge, and no question was ever so silly, ever.
In a world where new technology confronts old wisdom, tuna finds room for both.
It's amazing what, the human mind has come up with. We must use that, use the very latest modern materials to enhance our very ancient stuff. It's like broaching the 20th, and we will soon be broaching the 21st century with many of our traditional materials in tow. We'll be bringing them with us, It's just like having a big bag full of all these wonderful, exciting materials that have survived all these centuries, and we just tow them forward, into this century. I think those who say we have to go back are just kidding themselves. We can't, and I don't want to. I want to go forward.